you mentioned needing to take personal responsibility. And when we got connected, as I was kind of looking at some of your content and what you were about, trying to get a feel, there was a very clear through line for me around this idea of personal responsibility. And I was like, okay, this would be gold for a conversation around what is personal responsibility. I almost hear it, this is way too simplified of an assessment, but to me, what I heard in your story is almost that for you, personal responsibility was an antidote to the addiction. And I don't want to put that on you, but I'm just wondering, like, is that a theme? And when you talk about personal responsibility, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's very well said, Chad. Man, I'm like, I'm gonna swipe that and use that a little bit later on. The antidote to addiction is personal responsibility. I think that's it, man. It's been fascinating for me to hear from and have as many conversations with men as I do at all walks of life. I get the young kids that reach out every once in a while. These guys are, they've been really looking at this thing since they were 12, 13 years old, and now they're 20 or in their early 20s. And it's like they don't know any other way of life. But what's been fascinating for me is the amount of high level successful men that reach out to me, guys that are like crushing it, guys that are running 7, 8-figure, companies, guys that are doctors, lawyers, CEOs. We've had pastors, like these guys that are out there. Like, if you look at their life, very similar to mine, right? It's like you check in the boxes of success, right? You got the business, you got the family, you got all these other pillars. It's like you check these boxes. How the hell does this one thing over here, like you don't have control over that? You're going to tell me that some flashy pixels on a screen are controlling you? So for me, when I bring personal responsibility to the content that I create, it's obviously very clearly directed to a man that is struggling with pornography. So and I understand that, right? I understand that when I'm talking to a camera, for a piece of content, like I'm talking to one individual, I'm talking to the guy that is maybe playing victim in his life, and you see this a lot in addiction, right? 12 steps, which has done more good for addiction recovery than any other organization in the world. I have a problem with their first step. I don't believe that we give our power over to something else. I think we recognize at the beginning that maybe we're allowing something else to control us. But if you raise your hand every single day, which is something they do in any 12 steps of program, and you say, I'm powerless and I'm surrendering myself to this addiction, I'm going to call upon a higher power. But even in that powerless feeling, for me, that's injecting like a victim mindset, a victim mentality. So for me, the personal responsibility in our content, the way that I talk about it is, no, you are not powerless. You are making a choice and decision, whether it's running to pornography or talk about any addiction, running to a bottle, running to drugs, sex, gambling, choice made on you. And if you're going to say that something outside of yourself is causing you to do that, that's living in a victim mindset, and that's passing off the responsibilities. So that's kind of how I, bring it, I guess, into our world.